Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
and today we are talking something I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. Is Batman v Superman, not versus,
Dawn
but v
of
Superman.
Justice.
Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. That's important because
It is,
we are going to pretend the theatrical cut does not exist.
as we should.
And Daniel just watched it, right?
Yeah, first time. Finished it last night. Or no, the night before.
Yeah, and I rewatched it last night so we can talk about it. That, to be fair, I watch it probably 2 times a year, 3 times a year, just because. And it's not even that I love it that much, but there's just
There's some
cool
really great
things
moments.
in it. Yeah, and I
yeah.
just like putting it on the background every now and then.
Sure. And I will say I have been quite the basher of the film. And that's not fair for one, because I'm just basing that kind of on some critical responses. And okay, well, I'm also basing it on Justice League, which was a pile of crap. So when I saw Justice League and with you in the theaters, and I was like, okay, yeah, no reason to see Batman vs Superman if it's anything like this. But yeah, like you said, the director's cut, like, I really enjoyed the movie. It was just a entertaining, cool moments, some great character moments. The plot doesn't always hold up, but that's okay. To me, I feel like the character moments hold up really well. So I'm less interested in the fact that there's some plot holes and some head scratchers, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, you kind of answered my first question. Did you like it? And of course,
Just jumping right in. Hey, this is Babycast. We ain't got no time.
We don't got 23
dick
minutes.
around.
And I like it too. Of course, when I watched the movie, there's a few things that kind of that bugged me, and we'll get to those.
Yeah.
I have a few questions for you, and then I want to talk about the differences for Batman v Superman from the theatrical cut, from the Ultimate Edition, and then we will kind of go off from there. My second question is, what surprised you about the film that you enjoyed?
Okay, so I know we've talked about it, and I'd actually seen the clip of when they introduce like the other, what do they call them? Something human, metahumans. What do they say? That's like
the Justice League stuff. You talking about
but they have a name.
Thesis.
Yes, and so you had mentioned that, and even the inclusion of Wonder Woman, I was assuming of a much more minor role and a much more minor part for her.
Did you know she was actually like in the movie?
I did. Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
I knew she is in the final battle. I knew that.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and but I know there were some complaints that it feels like they shoehorned it, but I actually didn't mind it. I thought the little videotapes were kind of cool. I didn't think the Flash guy didn't look the same at all. I know he had long hair, but I was like,
he's got a beard and a long hair.
That doesn't look like the same actor at all.
It was, yeah. And it's just kind of weird.
Overall,
it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I kind of wish he had kept it. If that makes sense.
No, you kept what? Kept the Justice League part, or
no? If he had kept the facial hair and the long hair, he just would have looked more distinctive. But
no,
I will say I really enjoyed Wonder Woman in this movie. I thought her part felt worthy of being there. When I didn't feel like it was shoehorned. It felt good. I liked kind of her and Bruce's banter at the party and like all that kind of stuff. I love the moment when he saw her in the photo.
The first, yeah.
And I love when the Wonder Woman theme came in, because I love the theme from the Wonder Woman movie, and it was
people
just
like that.
I'm liking this. And then when she shows up at the end, it was really cool when she blocks the blast, because you're always expecting it to be Superman.
Yeah,
and then it's her.
It's a cool moment. And issue with you, the whole issue.
Yeah, I thought she was with you. That was great. Yeah.
Well, it's even thematic because Zach Snyder. He has I think a written by or story by credit for Wonder Woman, and he's also a producer on that film. But if you remember watching Wonder Woman, that movie opens up with her getting the picture from Bruce, which is the picture. I
don't remember that. No, I just can't recall it. But that's it. I bet that feels a little more satisfying when it opens.
Yeah, she gets the picture, and then she has the whole flashback of Steve, and at the very end, the movie ends also with her like putting the picture away and leaving.
Gotcha.
So it's all tied together there. Okay. So there was, if you watch like Man of Steel, BVS, and Wonder Woman, It really does feel like like there's a through line kind of going through.
Does it
everything.
introduce Batman at the end of BVS in any way? Does it introduce him as a factor at all?
You
Man of Steel.
There's a Wayne Enterprises like satellite that gets destroyed in the middle of the fight.
That's right.
Little things like that.
Yeah.
But they did a great job though. Martha, move on, but a great job of like connecting what's happening in Man of Steel at the end and what Bruce Wayne's journey and kind of why he may not like this outsider.
Yeah, I liked how they opened, and I also I think I was aware of this, but I liked that they opened on the day that Zod and Superman were fighting, and with Bruce trying like losing his like people in his company and like all that kind of stuff. Here's one more question I have: is canonically Metropolis and Gotham across a river from each other?
They've been various points from each other.
Does that ever happen in the comics? Like they're across, like it was almost like a Little Rock, North Little Rock situation.
No,
like how it looked.
No. It's a movie thing that they it's never been.
I didn't
close.
mind it. It was just was like I haven't seen it done that way.
Yeah, the only kind of weird thing is there's kind of like, well, why does Superman go and help Batman? You know, it's just like it's always the issue of like why doesn't why aren't these two heroes helping each other more? It's easier in a comic. In a movie, it's harder.
Yeah,
I don't know, but Marvel's managed to do it, and it kind of makes sense I kind of like that. We have a grizzled Batman in it, and which brings me to the Ben Affleck's Batman thing. Like we have that, so it makes sense because Clark is just getting started. Like he's just into the news area, so
he's like 1 year into being Superman.
He would have known about Batman while he was super, like for a while, like while he was like a drifter and saving people and that kind of stuff. But now that he's like in the mix of journalism, he knows about him, and then also Bruce. He's went dark and grizzled because Joker killed Jason Todd, which we get that little nice.
Is that what that is referencing? Because that's from the killing joke. Is that what that is from?
It's from Death of the Family.
Death of the Family.
Yeah, and of course there is Zach Snyder's. He says that his two favorite graphic novels of all time are Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns. And while it's not a straight adaptation, there's
a lot of Dark Knight Returns.
A lot of homages, visuals.
Even the suit he has at the end, the kryptonite. Yeah. It's all. That's all of that.
There's a few minor plot details, but overall, it's not the plot. But it's very
it's not. I mean, because in that one, Superman's basically a corporate war toy for USA.
Yeah, but there's there's an inspiration kind of thing there.
Yeah, no.
So you like Ben Affleck.
I love it. He's fantastic. It just makes me sad we're not getting more. He was the
Ben Affleck. Yeah, it's great.
He's the perfect old grizzled Bruce Wayne actor. I think probably because Ben Affleck kind of just acts like he's always pissed off. I don't know. That's like
grizzled,
natural.
But he's still like he's bigger. He's better in better shape than Superman.
He's like a 45-year-old Batman, right? Like that's what I feel. Or a 40 to 45-year-old. So he's like he's still his body isn't failing him yet, but he's not what he used to be.
But man,
I loved it, man. I loved his suit. I loved the scratches and the rips in it that showed like the sewed things. Yeah. I loved I really do like the short ears. I know it's again directly pulling from Dark Knight Rises with that costume, but I love it.
Yeah, there's moments where to me that suit is like the most comic accurate. It is the most we've ever had on screen.
Yeah, and it's like, but also it felt very practical. Like I loved the voice modulator. I was like, why haven't any other movies thought of this instead of just having Christian Bale growl like this? Yeah. They could have he's super technologically. Why couldn't it just like a voice modulator?
The Bat Cave is incredible. It looks amazing.
Oh God, yeah.
It looks like
it was
beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, it felt like a very comic-y Batcave, like more than Batman.
Like when he goes, like after he meets Superman for the first time,
when he drives into
the thing, it's like this mile-long track. I'm like, who built this underwater?
Oh my God.
But it's awesome.
It's like super long.
Now the only things I have a problem with, this is like probably two of my three big problems in the movie period, and it's with Ben Affleck's Batman. As much as I like him as Batman, I don't like two things. I don't like that he kills people.
Okay.
And I don't like that he uses guns. Because those are two big things. Did he use
guns? He used guns in the dream sequence. Does he use them at the end with Martha too?
Yes.
He does?
And he also uses
them. Well, he uses their guns against them.
In the chase sequence, he actually shoots them with the vehicle when he's trying to get through the white Portuguese. And he ends up killing. Like, it's just me and my buddy Matt watched it on the show previously, and we were like, that guy's alive. we kept trying to justify it like in the
Well,
theater.
I actually
God.
do
And then we were-
like. I do feel like the fight with Martha at the end. I feel like you could justify why those guys are like severely injured, maybe like brain injuries, but maybe not dead. Except maybe the guy at the end where he pulls he stabs him with the knife and then he takes it out and like does something else. I was like, okay, well,
yeah, I mean, well, like kicking the grenade and then like not like Batman wouldn't do that. He wouldn't he wouldn't make it in a situation where someone would die. He would severely injure them where they can never speak again.
You don't think he would kick a grenade back to someone if they threw it at him?
No, I think he would if he would defuse the situation. And not Batman. He wouldn't. Now, granted, there is precedent in the other movies like Batman Returns, even Batman '89, and even The Dark Knight Rises, and even technically Dark Knight. Dark Knight Rises, he leads the missile to Talia al Ghul. She dies. Dark Knight, he tackles Two-Face off the end. He kills him. Batman Begins, he doesn't save Ra's al Ghul, and then he's like, does the whole I won't save you, but I won't kill you either. So you retroactively kill him then.
Yeah.
And it's your fault. So like, yes, there is precedent, but it's like, man, it's like one of those things like it's like that whole argument we had back in the 90s. There was liberties taken with like X-Men and Spider-Man, but now we're to a point where we need to like, there's certain things and staples that you don't do. Like you don't have Spider-Man kill people. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And that's like one of the big things.
The one argument I'll make in defense of that is because we have this old, grizzled, horrible kind of savage Batman, the branding, that kind of stuff, that's harsh for Batman, in my opinion. That feels like pretty dark and grisly. And I know that the comic reason for him not killing, right, is that he says, if I kill once, I'll never stop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? So to me, it would make sense that this is a version of Batman that started killing and hasn't stopped. And I know Alfred mentions it from the beginning, like saying like, you've turned dark. You've changed. You've like become kind of a old, like almost evil, borderline evil person. But like how you're handling things.
I understand that. And there is an arc to him in that, but to me it's just like it's an example. Why would you ever not if you're going to kill these people, then why would you not kill Joker? Why would you not kill Harley Quinn?
He did.
He didn't.
We never see Joker.
Yeah, Suicide Squad. You know what I'm saying? Like he read.
That's in the same word. That's
Ben Affleck.
But
Batman,
let's just pretend Suicide Squad doesn't exist.
But we can't. That's how it works. Ben Affleck's Batman is in
unless
Suicide
James
Squad.
Gunn's Suicide Squad like retcons it.
Well, we'll get to that later this week about retconning.
Yeah.
A little teaser there for the end of this episode. Okay, so that and the use guns thing is also a big no-no because like he absolutely does not use guns because his parents were killed by a gun. Anyway,
that one definitely seems.
Those are like minor things, but they're also big things. Like if they had fixed
in terms of like lore and Batman fandom, they're huge. In terms of how do they affect the movie working, they don't really. Like they don't really affect how the movie feels as a whole.
They don't, but I think for fandom, which you kind of need to get on your side, those two things are like it's literally if it wasn't for that, you're the Punisher. And
why do you think Zach Snyder went for that? I mean, he seems such a comic faithful guy in so many ways.
He said even recently on like his quarantine rewatch, he was like basically he goes, well, I try to make it where like the grenade thing, like it wasn't Batman's fault that the grenade went off. The guy pinned the grenade, but
same logic as Batman Begins, basically.
That, but also, and his other answer was, which is the kind of FU is kind of like, well, in The Dark Knight Returns, he blatantly kills people, and like if he does it in there, then why can't he do it in the movie? And the thing is, I've went back and looked at the exact panels he talks about, and he doesn't kill the people. He doesn't. Which is amazing that he interprets it that way to me, because when I read it, I'm like it's particularly the shot where Batman has the rifle and shoots the flamethrower guy and explodes.
Yeah.
In the comic, he doesn't kill the guy. It's not that. It's blatantly that Batman shoots it. Anyway, the whole other thing. So, real quick, I want to talk about the nightmare sequence. Here's kind of like the ultimate reason why that I enjoy this movie, and it's kind of like if I get anything kind of rule, then I'm happy, which is not always the greatest way to be on
anything.
Something.
What?
If I get anything, like I would never expect to see this my entire life, and it's like, oh my god, it's so amazing. I'm getting this, and like I can let things slide. Yeah. In the movie, there's the nightmare sequence happens, and
are you talking about the one where he's flying with bats, or the one where he's in the desert?
He's the deserts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The bat thing is I was already cringing when that happened in the theater, and I was like, no. And then he has that line
I was
with the
just like,
dream.
what's going on? First of all, I was
Yeah.
like, is little Bruce Wayne falling into a well with bats? Is that canonically how he becomes Batman? Like how the idea comes to him every time?
Yeah.
And then secondly, I was like, okay, now he's flying. I was like, is this a world where Batman can use bats to fly?
Yeah. I mean, in the thing, Batman, it's different ways he's become Batman, but there is something to do with a bat or something. But
yeah, it just felt like almost a photocopy of Batman Begins at that point.
yeah, I mean, it's happened multiple. Even in Batman Forever, it happened. I mean, it's happened multiple different movies. But when the parademons come, like when it happened, and at this point we had not seen this in the trailer, and I'm in the theater. And I lean over to Matt.
What things you said?
The flying monsters,
the demon
in the nightmare
things
sequence. Yeah, and they're in Justice League. They're called parademons.
Okay, I thought they looked familiar.
I leaned over and with me and Matt, we were both at the same point. Parademons like that, like holy shit, there's parademons in this movie, and that kind of moment you don't think about.
Yeah.
When you're 7 or 8, you're like, I'll never see a parademon in the movie theater. So that kind of thing alone justifies the movie's existence for me.
It was a cool sequence. I was a little confused at first when he was literally pulling out a pistol and just shooting people in the face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I also wondered, is that sequence based directly off of any, like that costume even that he's wearing? Is that based on anything in the comics specifically? There's
like a kind of gothic. There's a few things that are similar to it, and now it's actually that official costume is like in the comics now. I
kind of enjoyed the costume. I thought it was cool.
It's called the Nightmare costume. But one cool thing, a week later, Kevin Smith came out after the premiere of the movie, and he said, here's why I like the movie, because when the parademons showed up, me and Jason Mewes leaned over and went, parademons. And I was like, me and Matt did the same fucking thing. It blew my mind that I was like, it's just how you show you how in tandem nerds are sometimes.
Sure.
The nightmare sequence.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool moment. It's one of those things we'll touch upon later this week because it's got a lot of significance and other things. But really cool. We kind of talked about that. How'd you feel about Lex Luthor?
So I'm not nearly as like upset with Lex Luthor that I think a lot of people were. Jesse Eisenberg, I think I actually kind of liked the take on Lex Luthor. I think they were trying to be different. They were trying to go more with like Fustrun baby that, has abandonment issues and has like power issues, basically, I guess.
Right.
And I thought he did well as that kind of character. I almost feel like I don't think the problem was necessarily that he did a bad job. They just wrote a very different Lex Luthor than what we're used to and what's the comics are based on, it feels like. And so I didn't hate it as much as everyone else. And I'm not much of a comic like diehard, so I'm like, you have to be this, you have to be that. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't I don't know. There was a part of me that I would have rather had like more of the Smallville Luthor at the same time.
I think no, and it's a valid thing about having this Mark Zuckerberg type of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Which is he played Mark Zuckerberg
right.
Which is of course probably how he got the job. Or at least was considered for the job.
Sure. It was like one of his first serious roles.
Yeah, and I can see that argument, but to me, Lex Luthor is this guy who he's like, no, I'm a self-made man, and like he goes to the gym and works out, and his thesis to Superman is that like you were given everything, and I work for everything, and I'm just as strong as you, strong as like
in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah, strong and with wealth and stuff.
Yeah, and to me that's Lex Luthor, and I think actually Chris Terrio, the writer. I think the dialogue in the movie for Lex is actually really good.
I do too. I thought his like speeches or his like kind of moments of dialogue when he was with the senator at his house and they kind of have that tense dialogue, like when he's,
I think those are good.
When he's like thumping on the desk, like in that rhythmic moment and she stopped. I don't know. There was some really good tension there.
I just don't like, I don't know. I just don't like his mannerisms and like he's more like the Joker, Lex Luthor. I don't know.
He is. I would agree.
Like,
he has more Joker characteristics.
You could have had like a in shape Bryan Cranston, or at least lean Bryan Cranston, and that same dialogue, and that if you'd put that and you'd also change Batman not killing and using guns, fans would have lost their fucking minds.
I think you're right. That also brings up the Joker. Why didn't they consider him for the Joker? Because now that I'm like, yeah, he might have been a good Joker.
Yeah,
like a different style Joker.
Okay,
Anyway,
we have only a few minutes here. That's the good thing. The only bad thing about this is like I could literally do.
I know.
Cast on this.
Now I do have one kind of story gripe, but I can save that if you have that for later.
It might weave into what we're doing now.
Okay, cool.
So this is the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition differences.
Yes,
so here's the open. We're going to go through these. We only have a little bit here. At the beginning, in what I'm going to talk about, here's what the difference is for the Ultimate Edition. So at the beginning, it's confirmed that Jimmy Olsen is the CIA guy that ends up getting shot with Lois. In the original cut, we didn't know that was Jimmy Olsen. And Jimmy Olsen
supposed to be?
He's a famous, like, basically reporter at the Daily Planet, and they made him like a CIA agent in the thing. So it's like that's a big deal, and a lot of fans didn't like that.
That's only in the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
he's Jimmy Olsen. Okay, they identifies us. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. So that, like, Superman flying through the drone at the beginning and destroying that drone, which leads to like the Africa subplot. Yeah. The bodies being burned in the original cut, you were not shown them being flamethrowered. You weren't really shown their influence, and like you can really see like Lex's goons kind of manipulating everything. There was a little footage of them being taken out. Right. Which leads to the Lois investigation. Like, you don't see. There's the African lady named Kahina. Mm-hmm. She testifies at the Senate hearing. Right. You see, clearly she's lying. She's been followed by Lex's goons. She gets pushed into the train station. Right. And all that's not in the movie, so it just comes across that she's just lying. That people are just assuming Superman killed these people, but they're like. But she's obviously lying if she's saying that she saw her parents killed by them or something. Exactly. Yeah. And another thing is Clark investigates the Santos death, and he meets his wife and his child. He meets the older man who has the scratched off Batman signal. Right. And all that kind of paints Clark, basically. It gives him a reason to really dislike Batman. Yeah, for sure. And it also shows his humane side too. Sure. And it also shows that, and I went back and confirmed that we'd had a small conversation previously, but Lex does orchestrate the death in the prisons for the Batman branding. Okay. All of them? That's all of them, yeah. So Superman, another thing is at the Senate thing, when the big bomb goes off, Superman in the original cut, he just flies off. In the extended cut, he saves people. Yeah, he saves people. That makes a big difference. Yeah, because he's actually saving people there. And you feel like, okay, he's still being a good guy or whatever. And yeah, exactly. It also gives the general public not like a straight up reason to think when they start accusing him, you're like, oh, like, I get why they are, but at the same time, they have a reason not to. Yeah. Which almost feels more realistic to like public outcry. Yeah. Let's kind of back up a smidge. Speaking of the Senate hearing, what do you think about that? Just in general. I liked it. I thought it's cool. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the bombing coming, to be honest. Yeah. It was done well. Like I didn't, and like like when she noticed the piss can or the piss jar on her table, the Granny's sweet tea, Granny's lemonade or whatever. Yeah. I was like, what's about to happen? Like, and I noticed her like getting, she gets real like stuttery and like she starts like losing her thought and like kind of, getting unfocused and can't control herself. I was like, what is it? And then the bomb went off and I was like, oh, damn. Like that just felt really cool. Yeah, I liked the whole thing with Lex using the guy to like work that way and like all that kind of stuff. I felt like that felt your family die, the sending the notes to Bruce Wayne, right? All that stuff. I mean, it's a lot of manipulation going on there. It is. One final thing on that. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Because I got a timer here, and we're just like running out of time. I know. Well, if we go over a couple minutes, who cares? We may not get everything. Our own goddamn show. We do what we want. It'll be a teenager cast then. We'll have a director's cut of the Babycast. There you go. And also there's Jenna Malone in the movie, and she plays Janet Calburn, who works for Star Labs, and she's like helping Lois do the bullet analysis. Okay, that's cut from the movie. Okay. She's not in the movie, period. Fun facts for you. Whenever the Ultimate Edition was coming out, everyone thought she was going to be Barbara Gordon. Like, she was like included back in the movie. But she would have been cool. Would have been cool. Gordon's not in this at all, right? No, he's not. No. It was just J.K. Simmons. No. So here's another thing. There's more scenes of both Metropolis and Kansas are added in the wake of Superman's death.
Okay.
A nice line is added by Stoops to Luthor. We don't need that. Lois is able to uncover Luthor's plan of using Wally to deliver the bomb that blew up the Senate by investigating his abandoned apartment that was filled with freshly purchased groceries. That's not in the original cut.
Yeah, that was interesting because I also felt like, well, why did he think he was going to bomb the Senate and survive? Did he not know he was going to bomb the Senate? Is that all? What did he think?
Wally guy?
Yeah. Did he just think this was all like a political stunt?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think for 1 second he thinks that it's
Okay.
we're getting that beeping again. There must be something on my end when you're doing a podcast that a beeping happens. That's so weird. I just realized it was 3 podcasts later. It's my timer going off. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that tells us we're done. Well, we're not timer. Fuck you.
Exactly. So like 3 episodes ago, it was a mystery for you there. We just figured out. Yeah. So the whole thing is, I don't think for once, he didn't know he was going to die. Lex was setting all that up because so the girl, his Lex's assistant, is in there too. Who in the comics she's actually a robot that works for Lex, but in the movie she's not.
The tall, skinny Asian lady.
Yeah. And so she's she's in there, and he even throws her under the fucking bridge too and kills her off, which he's just fucking evil,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like that really like made Lex a much more interesting villain, to be honest. Like when he does that.
It does. And also a few of the things, the whole Clark and Pa Kent scene is not in the original cut, I don't guess.
Clark and what?
When he walks up the mountain.
On the mountain? Okay.
Yeah, which I think is really important, actually.
It was a good scene. It was nice.
It's also amazing.
And it gives him a reason to come back. Like when he leaves the Senate building, it like gives his character arc a reason where he's.
I will say this though, that I got that most of this I wrote down, but this last chunk here, I pulled off the internet so I can just reference it. I don't remember that not being in the theatrical cut.
Oh, okay.
So I could be wrong on that, or they could be wrong on that, but that's what it's saying. And I feel like that's I've seen the Ultimate so many times now I can't really distinguish what's in what.
That makes sense.
And the final big thing that they took away, other than little things like Steppenwolf in the movie, which
that was cool. That feels like it sets up Justice League much better.
Yeah, and it's also different design for Steppenwolf.
But the CGI looks better in this than it did in the Justice League movie.
And there's a lot more we could talk about, and the biggest thing they added, probably the best thing in the movie, like on Ultimate Cut, is Ben Affleck's ass when he's showering. They added that in.
It was tight. It was a donk.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Real quick, the one thing that just felt a little head scratchy or a little shoehorned to me was the Martha moment when I
was going to ask you about that.
Superman was saying I was thinking why wouldn't he say my mother? Well, who refers to their mother as with their first name when they're talking about it? They're like, you're letting Martha die. He's like, you're letting my mother die. That feels like a much more realistic thing to say. But I know they had to say Martha because that's really the one thing that makes Batman go soft or reconsider. I just felt like that line doesn't actually feel natural to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say also, here's my only explanation for that is that it would be harder for Batman to find out who his mom is versus who Martha is. If I say my mom's dying,
but he could have said that later. He could have clarified. I just felt like they made him say Martha right that moment, right when he's got the spear at his cheek, because he's about to kill him. So he had to say it then in order to not be killed. Yeah. I almost wish they had Lois run. I wish they had Lois run up and say no, his mom. They're killing his or something like that.
She does say that. After he says Martha, she's like,
it's his mother. That's right. I just wish it had been he had said, my mom is going to die. And she said, who? And he's like, his mother, Martha. That would have made more sense because Lois it's not Lois's mom. She's just referring to it as a name.
Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right.
A minuscule thing, but it's still kind of bugging me.
It just had to be that way for the movie, for that moment to kick in.
I know. And quicker. That makes me think they could have been smarter about it. That just feels like, oh no, we had to have this happen. Well, how do we do it? Well, let's just make him say this instead of well, let's think what would naturally happen. How can we get to this point in a realistic, natural way for the characters?
Yeah.
But I did like the fight. I did like the Batman Superman
hate that moment of the Martha thing.
They hate it.
That. Yeah. I mean, which to me, honestly, when I was in theaters watching it, I was like, oh my God, their mom's names is Martha. All these years,
you didn't realize
knowledge, for 20 years, my knowledge was the fucking equations are going on the walls, and that happened to me is a big deal. And I was like, well, that's cool. But then I go online at night, and everyone's just like fucking hating it, you know? I'm
really?
like, oh my God, yeah.
I didn't mind it. I mean, it was
still
other than that
point.
phrasing, it was just.
Yeah. Well, you're honestly like you're closer to me than everyone else. So,
I've actually been wondering about that, and I really think maybe it is that characters and like character journeys and character arcs maybe are just a little more important to me than plot in some ways. Like if you've got strong enough characters, the plot can suffer a little bit, or if you've got strong enough plot, the characters can suffer a little bit. And I just thought the characters were really strong, and I thought their moments really worked. I really thought they had a lot of chemistry too. Like I just felt like even Bruce and Superman fighting felt good. Like it felt like realistic to them both, and I don't know, I just enjoyed it.
No, it's cool. So there's like maybe like an extra 6 seconds in the like fight footage in the Ultimate Edition.
Okay.
There's not much difference.
I mean, it was satisfying when like Superman just walks up to him and basically flicks him, and he goes through like 3 walls, and like half his face is off now, like half his mask is off. Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah, I mean, we could do this all day long, and I think I will talk a lot more about it this upcoming week, which for our viewers, we are going to break down the Snyder Cut, the 5 movie arc.
The whole situation.
Yeah, and Daniel doesn't know a whole lot about it. He knows a little bit from my past scarblings.
Pieces, yeah.
But I'm going to sit down and really talk about how we got there, where were we going, and where we might go now.
And I just want to, maybe a final thought is, for me, just on Batman vs Superman, I know a lot of the complaints about DCU is like they're trying to be too gritty and emo. I was like, I think the grittiness really worked for this movie. Like
it does.
I don't think this plot would work if you tell like a Marvel movie with, humor, comic relief every other scene. Like I just think this is good. I don't understand why people were upset with the tone. I feel like that tone worked well. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'll talk more about it this upcoming week because I have a very specific thing to answer that.
Good.
Right there.
Okay.
Because I've thought a lot, even just the last couple of days, I've been thinking about it for this upcoming episode. I'm like,
cool.
It's kind of even clarified things for me more, my thoughts about the whole DCEU.
Yeah. Cool.
Which it's kind of bittersweet when we get to the end of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you watched it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's maybe it might be my favorite DCEU movie right now. I know I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. It's might be a tighter plot, but this just had a lot of really cool moments, and I like the team ups.
Yeah. I mean, real quick, let's just give us 10-second shout out to that Batman warehouse scene.
It's amazing. It's the
coolest.
It's
Batman
probably the best Batman
like
fight sequence
ever in cinema for 100%.
Yeah. No, I think so. I mean, he is a bad motherfucker in that scene.
Yeah.
He really is. And it's just, cool. and especially just like with him, like I love the moment where when he turns and he says, like, what does he call him? Clark? Does he even, I think, he's like, Clark, trust me. She will not die tonight. And you were just like, fuck yes, she won't. Batman's about to just go fucking balls to the wall because he's basically taking out his anger for his own mother on these poor like henchmen. It's like to me, maybe even why it works that he killed him. He's basically surrogating his mother's killer with these guys and taking out all like pent up anger.
Snyder, he mentioned in his rewatch recently that like that moment is kind of signify Batman's rebirth because it's like he's better and quicker and faster than he's ever been because now he's got a purpose again.
Motivated.
Like he's motivated. And anyway, it's just a cool little thing. I get chills talking about it.
It's really good. Yeah. And then when he saves her, he's like, I'm referring to your son. She's like, I figured. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a nice, like, after you kind of get,
a brutal, darkness, amazing scene.
You get a little bit of that levity, which is like, again, we'll talk about that.
It's not so much that it breaks it, but it's good. That moment, and probably when like I thought she was with you, like those moments were really nice, and they were used in such constraint that they stand out.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Well,
enjoy this extra long Babycast.
How can our listeners write into us?
They can go to bit.ly/241mail. It should be in that corner over there, I think, unless you're going to swipe it, maybe over there. I don't know. But they go there. They can write in. They can tell us why we're wrong about all these opinions about Batman versus Superman. I'm sure there is like millions of fanboys out there that if we could only get their attention, we would become we would have death threats. And actually, I'm into that. So death threat it up, baby.
Yeah, I would love my first death threat.
I might sue you and make a lot of money, but that's okay for me. So,
yeah. Yes, it is. And also, if you want to follow us on any of our social media platforms, they are below Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we're also on TikTok now. So watch out, internet. Watch out, internet. And for all your podcasts, 241 News, please go to podcast241.com, and there you can find links to anything and anywhere you want to watch it. Yes, we always say watch it on YouTube is the best way to consume the content. And if you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button below, and also hit that notification bell. That way,
leave a comment, but not one of you dumb bot people that just leave a comment on every video. It's like, cool content, dudes, keep it up. I'm like, these guys are just bots. The bots can fuck off. But it would be funny if just act like you are. Like, I would love for our whole comment section to just be millions of people saying, "Nice content, dudes, keep it up." That would be hilarious. If that was the only comment, but it was like hundreds of them from different people.
That would be great. Well, awesome. We did it. So I'll see you in a couple of days for the Snyder Cut episode.
We need like a special word, the Snyder Cut showdown, the Snyder Cut shakedown, the Snyder Cut something.
We'll figure it out.
Alliteration in there.
All right. Well, my name is Donovan Thompson.
And I'm Daniel Wingfield, dragging the episode.
And we have spoken.